Welcome back to another episode of the Ducks on Base podcast. We are back to conclude our 2025 MLB Draft series with two of our Ducks getting selected or signing undrafted free agent contracts right after the draft. We'll talk about who signed, where they went, and kind of just our thoughts about it. Fox, you want to start us off?
All right, so first, we'll start with the player that played the most on the Oregon team this year, Carter Garate. He was the third baseman, and he was actually a very good third baseman, especially with all the defensive plays that he made. That's his main contribution to the team. Um, he was by far Oregon's best defensive run saved player, um, and he's very valuable, especially on defense. And late on the year, with hitting a bunch of home runs in the Iowa series, which helped Oregon win the regular Big Ten regular season title. Um, his offensive numbers went up a small amount. Um, they went from uh, an OPS of 819 this in this year, and the previous year it was 792. Um, his batting average did go down around 17 points, but his OPS went up 13 and his slugging went up 15. His big improvement that he did have this year was lowering his strikeout totals from 58 to 34. So he got on base more and put the ball in play a little bit more, which definitely helped, especially in the 9 spot, with him and Ryan Cooney being the 8-9 merchants as they self-proclaimed halfway through the year. I believe he was a good player. He's definitely leaving behind a big spot on Oregon's defense at third base. It's likely going into it, but we'll go into it later further. But I think Drew Smith will likely fill in that spot at third base, or maybe someone new will come up and fill that spot, but that'll be a question for a later time. But overall, I think we'll see how he does in the major leagues, especially in the minor leagues for the Rangers. Can you have anything to add?
Yeah, obviously Carter Karate played a big role on the Oregon team the last 2 years, um, 3 seasons. Most notably being named the Santa Barbara Regional Most Valuable Player for his outstanding performance in that regional. Um, Played, filled a big hole at third after Sabine Ceballos got drafted by the Braves. Um, big part of flipping the order over, like Fox said, with Ryan Cooney. It'll be interesting to see how they replace him going into next year. But good for Carter Garate signing an undrafted free agent deal with the Texas Rangers. Um, we wish him the best in his professional journey, and we will definitely be rooting from him from afar.
Yeah. Looking at the Texas Rangers system, they do have a few big prospects at shortstop and third base with Sebastian Walcott, who's in Double A right now, and your friend Castillo, who's in Low A right now. And both of them are likely going to be um, the ones that are most likely to come up first. But you never know, something could happen. He could move around to second base probably or shortstop. Um, and we'll see what happens really. I think he definitely has potential, especially if he can improve um, the walks, improve his walks, and also improve the batting average, because he isn't a home run hitter, even though he had 4 home runs late in the year. He's more of a singles, doubles hitter, get on base type of guy that basically every team needs now, with the league moving more into putting the ball in play.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, historically, the Texas Rangers have produced young talent. Not not worried about that aspect of things. Um, but I think it's a he has his work cut out for him as an undrafted free agent. We'll see where it goes.
Um, Moving on to Chase Meggers. He was a huge part of Oregon's season in 2024, um, hitting a great 316, 395, 480 um, in his first year of consistent playing time. He hit 5 home runs, hit 33 RBIs. This season, however, he had an injury to his hand in the preseason that took him out basically half of the year. And with the catching duo of Burke and
Cohen.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is like gonna be no room for him. You know, he was behind the 8 ball curve, as Fox was alluding to, with his injury. Um, but you know, he came back. He made a when he did come back from his injury, he immediately made an impact on the team.
Yeah, he did. He struggled a lot, especially out the gate, and he had some games where he showed some of the talent, but it's kind of hard to do um, much like play many games when you're only getting 170 at bats
Yeah.
in a season. Um, he had 24 hits in those at bats for 245, 290, 316. Um, but I think he would have probably needed a full season to be able to show. But we can immediately see his impact. He's already played 3 games with um, the low A in the Mets organization. He's already hitting 370. He's hitting 375, 500, 375, and it's showing that he definitely has the talent and is likely a similar situation as Bennett Thompson had, where Oregon's just producing a lot of catching prospects right now at a high level, and um, Oregon's gotten a lot of production from the catching spot, and likely has the potential to do so with Burke staying and bringing in more catching prospects through recruitment.
Yeah. Meggers, obviously, Chase joins his former Duck teammate, RJ Gordon, in the um, Mets uh, minor league system. So there are some Duck ties there. Obviously, David Peterson is pitching for the major league team. So, you know, there's many Mets Oregon connection. I think, you know, early showings with him in the St. Lucie in high A, or sorry, in single A ball is promising, but definitely would be interested to see where, you know, when he hits a slump, he how he adjusts from there. I don't know what you think, but I thought it was kind of surprising he signed. I thought he could have came back for another year, but what do you think?
I thought it depends really. His work in the Cape Cod League and during the season definitely proved that he was a high enough prospect that he was going to get drafted. I think teams kind of stayed away due to him getting injured. So I thought there was a chance that if he came back another year, he could potentially had have had a chance to get a not a huge payout because it would have been his senior year, but a guaranteed draft spot and not have to go through um, undrafted free agency. But if he believed that um, it's better, especially when he's like 22, and he's ideally trying to get into the leagues by like 26, 27, it's definitely important to start early.
Yeah, I mean, definitely risk reward analysis, especially in the day and age of NIL and all that. But I think he obviously made the decision that he thought was best for him and his family. So obviously we wish him the best. We will definitely be rooting for from afar. Obviously we have multiple Mets throughout the Mets system, from multiple Ducks throughout the Mets system. So definitely we'll be watching from afar. Um, I mean, overall, I think both of them have undrafted free agents have their work cut out for them. But we'll see where their professional journey takes them.
Yeah, I think Meggers has of these two likely has the quickest path to the majors. The Mets system does have some good, really young prospects, um, with several being 17, 18, 19. Um, I would say if he starts performing, he can definitely work his way into a rotation. But I would say, like most of the other prospects that Oregon has had, I think it's likely going to be 2 to 3 years before we see them in the majors. Um, Over the past few years, it turns out it looks like potentially RJ Gordon is likely going to be the fastest one to reach the majors, especially as we're talking about the Mets organization. We'll talk about this in a future season update, but he's been very good in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Mets organization, and he's showing the promise that he showed in 2024.
yeah. Obviously, you got Riku Nishida, who last I checked yesterday was batting 280, with like a 35 stolen bases on the year. He's like 35 for 41 or something. Obviously, you got guys like Bennett Thompson, Kobe Shade, um, performing in their respective organizations. So Bean hasn't had the greatest year, but I've kind of chalked that up to the Eastern League isn't necessarily the easiest league to play in. So I figure he'll be a Arizona Fall League candidate uh, if he does decide to stay stateside and play winter ball here. So for those that have to be in Arizona or are traveling to Arizona in the winter time, definitely possibly keep an eye out for that.
So this really concludes our draft analysis of the season between of the teams. Following this, we're going to have we're going to start looking into all the players that are returning potentially for the Oregon Ducks going into next season, and we'll start going week by week. We'll release 1 to 2 like 15-20 minute episodes per week to show light on the teams as we get ready for the 2026 season, which will come up in 5-6 months.
Lots to come out moving forward. Obviously, fall ball is going to start up at some point in the next few months. Minor league seasons are up and down, so we'll definitely talk about how our Ducks have performed in the pro ball level this year. Lots to come, and if you want to stay up to date on all the content, all the information, and when we release episodes, which will usually be every Tuesday, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you guys back here for the next episode. And as always, go Ducks.